Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating sociologists.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to the Dateable Podcast. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to Dateable.
We are still in the whole excitement of announcing our book, I guess.
It's been a week. That's for sure.
I was celebrating because my parents were like, you should find a way to celebrate. We went out to dinner, but
nice.
I celebrated by installing some bidets in my
Ooh,
apartment.
that's a good celebration.
Yes, I got 2 bidets. Now my asshole's going to be so clean.
Yue, okay, for our listeners that might not know this, right before the pandemic hit, before the pandemic hit, back in the old year of 2019, feels like eternity ago, Yue and I did our first live show, and we were kind of like, oh, this will set off like a whole turn of live shows. Clearly, that dream got crushed in 2020. But
we'll bring it back.
We'll bring it back, and at a better venue than where we're going with this. But
I love the venue. I thought it was so great.
So, I mean, it was it was a small scale event just to kick us off, to practice. We did an SF. It was free. Like, we were just like, let's just get it out there. We had Logan, Yuri was part of it, which was really fun. Yes. She interviewed us. She was like, did the first like act of it. It was awesome.
This was like way before her book.
Oh yeah. Long time ago. But it was at Toto, which is a bidet company, because they had an event space. The toilet company.
But fancy Japanese toilets.
When I like tell people this, I'm just like, I can't believe our like live event was at a toilet company. Like, it is kind of embarrassing / I don't know, kind of weird at the same time.
The most incredible thing about being at Toto was they gave us a venue for free.
They did.
In exchange for advertising. So in the middle of the show, they requested to show this like 3-minute long video about pooping.
Oh my God.
The Toto rep, she kept asking questions that were related to pooping. Like, we were talking about dating, and she's like, but what about pooping?
I just remember we were like, okay, last question we're going to take from the audience. And she raised her hand. Yes. So we had a call on her. And then it was about pooping, of course.
It was about pooping.
And I remember I was like, this can't be our last question. And Courtney, our good friend Courtney that introduced us, she saved the day. I remember her boyfriend at the time like raised his hand and asked like a legit one. So we ended on a good note.
But it was very memorable. I mean, for anybody who was at that event, you're never going to forget that because you were at a toilet showroom. You watch videos about pooping, and remember, it's a Japanese company. It was like an all Japanese staff. They're so polite.
Oh yeah, they were wonderful.
Courteous,
yes,
yet wanted to really bring up pooping. And every time that woman would bring up pooping, she would giggle a little bit.
It was just like such an epic thing. Remember we had the little poop emojis, like the stuffed animals. We had them in like a inflatable pool. We leaned in.
Listen, I have pictures from there. We'll upload some into our Instagram stories when this episode goes out. You gotta see these pictures to believe it. We are in a poop emoji pool. Julie and I taking photos. But it's so like parallel to modern dating, because modern dating is shitty.
It's a pool full of poop, basically.
It's fucking
but it
shitty
won't
at
be
times.
soon once this book is out on stands. We had a comment we posted on Instagram. So if you're not following us on Instagram at Dateable Podcast, go there, check out our post. We had way too much fun making this post. So hopefully you can appreciate how funny it is. One of the comments on the post was someone like, they made it big and they like tagged their friends. And I'm just like, it's kind of funny to see, but I'm like, I guess if you're comparing it to the toilet place for our
I thought we made it big then. I thought we were already big. How many people can say they have an event at a high-end Japanese toilet company showroom?
In our defense, like there was a whole TV show that was filmed there before. And that's like why we got in on this, because the producer we were working with at the time was also the producer for that. So it didn't feel as weird at the time. But looking back, I'm like, it is kind of weird.
The TV show went nowhere, by the way. So there's that. But your point of bringing up Toto is because we did this thing at Toto, and then they do bidets, and then now I have bidets 6 years later or whatever, however many years later. Woo, we made it big. But that now, so Toto makes bidets that are electric. So you have to like install a whole new outlet. You have to like position your toilet in a different way. They're like $500 to $1,000, right? Now they make bidets that are non-electrical. They're like $50 to $300. Tushy's a company that makes a whole line of them. And it's so easy to install. I installed both of myself, and you just install it into the water valve, and then boom, you got bidets.
You don't even have to plug it in anymore?
They're non-electric.
Oh, I'm going to get one.
They're
I'm gonna
so
treat
fucking
myself.
great.
Okay.
Treat yourself. Tushy is what I would, is my preference.
Okay.
But there's so many on Amazon. And they're all like great. They're all really great ratings. But like, why would I not give my butt the celebrity treatment now that we have a book out?
Oh. That's how you made it big, when you have a bidet. That's how you made it big. I mean, for our celebratory, my partner and I went to get pizza. That was nice. You know, it was
yes.
We also were like, yeah, we kind of missed grocery shopping this Sunday. He stopped at the grocery store like Monday, Tuesday, but normally we'll get it for like the whole week. So we kind of knew that Wednesday was a lull anyway. So we're like,
yeah, get pizza.
Let's just go out.
Pizza's
celebrate.
Always a good celebration. Thank you all for all the love that's been pouring in. Thank you all for placing your pre-orders. I had a friend say this is a great idea. She will be buying 2 copies. She pre-ordered the hardcover right now. And when the paperback comes out, she's going to buy that one too, so she can mark up in the paperback and save the hardcover one for her bookshelf.
I mean, if you're on video right now, you can see my bookshelf. And I feel like I have now gotten back into hardcover just because like it's so decorative. And you look really smart if you have a bookshelf in your back. Just put on glasses and have a bookshelf and you made it. You made it big.
Just have a hardcover book in your hands and then you already look smart. It's like, whoa.
So one of our mutual friends, I went out to dinner last night too. So I had a few celebrations. That was more for like our belated birthdays. But anyways, it was joint for this. And one of our mutual friends, she bought copies for all of her husband's single friends.
Oh, shit.
And another one of our friends were like, were they insulted? And she's like, actually, I've prefaced by saying this isn't because like you need the help. I'm just, sending this book. And she said they were like ecstatic. She's like, I don't think single men get many gifts.
No.
She's like, they were really like one guy, she was like, he was so happy. He thanked me like 10 times. So yeah. And then another one of my friends is like, I'm going to get this for my pickleball partner. So,
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, we've obviously had a ton of friends too that are married, all sorts of relationship statuses, buy the book to support. But also, I think there is something in there for everyone. That's another point. But I do really love this like idea of gifting to, single friends that may need it. And then,
and remember, they don't have to be single right now. They may be single by January. That's what I told my friend. I was like, don't just think about your single friends now. Think about the ones who will most likely be single by January. Gift it to them.
I need to shout out my mom because she has been like a PR machine, and she said that she would help us with PR if we needed it.
Oh, we need the help.
She's like, I don't really know what to do, but I'll help if you need it.
Hey, that's okay. We don't either.
But she has been posting on Facebook, like really like,
love that.
I appreciate it. So if you're listening,
that's
thank you.
Wonderful.
My brother, he came back from 10 years of not being on Facebook.
That's so cute. I know. Before we even announced, Julie's like, my family bought like 500 copies already. And I was like, fuck, my parents need to really step it up. So I told my parents, I guilt tripped them. And my mom's like, I want our friends to know about it, but they don't really read English, or they wouldn't really understand a dating book, like just reading the English description. So she spent 5 hours translating
God,
summary of the book to a point where she thought that her 70-some-year-old Chinese friends would understand it.
Oh
even,
my God.
Like the language we use, she didn't really know how to translate it. So she had to translate it into her own generation. And then she posted on WeChat for all her friends. And some of her friends were like, that's amazing. Your daughter like wrote a dating, but that's great. We need it. And then other people were like, what? Like, what's a dating book? Like, they just don't understand what the fuck is a dating book.
That's so sweet, though, that she took the time to do that. The two of them should run a PR company.
But no, it would take my mom like 600 years.
No, it's too many hours.
She was so slow. She spent all day just translating like 5 sentences to put on WeChat. I'm like, Mom, it's okay. Just put whatever. It's okay. Just put a link up. She's like, no. I have to really thoroughly think about this because people are going to have questions.
Oh my God. It's funny because like my dad's like, is it on audiobook? And I'm like, yes, you can order it there too. And I'm like, he has this one friend. It's like a business associate that wrote a book years ago, not on the same topic. And he's like, okay, I need you to sign a copy so I can give it to him. I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Oh, I love that. But that.
I was like, you might not really understand this book. Like, even if you listen to audio, it might not really make sense. You know, situationship, all the terms that we use. Oh, but anyways, thank you to all the listeners. We got such an influx of people just saying they pre-ordered. If you haven't yet, you still can. howtobedateable.com. Please do. Honestly, like it's hard because I'm like, why pre-order? Like, what is the reason for it? And we will have some like freebies that we give out. And even if you order now, you will still get all of them. So just do it.
Yes.
But
just have a receipt of your pre-order.
But I think like the big piece of it, it's like, why do it? It's like 6 months out, but the support really does help. So if you've been a listener of Dateable for a while and you know you're going to order anyways, also it locks in the price. So like if it does go on sale, like day of, you'll still get that price. I didn't know that.
And then you get charged only when they ship out the book. So you're not getting charged right now. It's like a layaway program in some ways. But, thank you all for the support. And it's so wonderful to have you all see our baby being born because it was like such a long and arduous birthing process of this book. But publishing is such a funny, ridiculous industry where pre-orders do matter.
Yeah.
And we'll go into this in another episode where we talk about the whole book writing process. But basically, your pre-order right now counts towards our first week sales, which is what the publishing industry looks at as a metric for success. Mm-hmm. So the more pre-orders we can get in now, the more we'll be kind of like at the top of the lists, all of these lists that we all want to be all.
But also, like, it indicates what bookstores we're in, like how widely distributed it is. And UA's friend had this idea of like, there should be a pool of people that have all read this book that can now date each other. And I think there's something there, but we need people to read it so we can get that pool of people.
I know. Yeah. My friend's like, I will only want to date people who've read the book. How do I find them? It's a great question. We'll be working on that.
Yeah, that's incentive enough for people to pre-order so we can get this into as many people's hands as possible. And dating can be better because everyone will be dateable.
Yes. We believe in the book. We believe in all the work. I mean, 2+ years of writing this book.
Oh, it's crazy.
We put our heart and soul into it, and we truly believe in the message behind it. It's not your typical dating book. There are no rules, hacks, tricks, shortcuts, any of that. It's like, how do we reimagine dating so that it serves us and not be caught up in modern dating culture, which is what we're all doing right now. All the questions you're stuck on, all the challenges and frustrations are because you're stuck in the modern dating culture.
Like, I don't care about what opening line we send.
No.
Even texting. I used to get so hung up on texting.
I know.
So anyways, it's so good. I mean, it's definitely been a process. It's kind of surreal, though, to announce it because it feels like old news to us because we've been doing this for like...
I know.
It's like, I've already had the celebratory dinner back in 2022, But it's so crazy that it's finally out in the universe. But I am like forever grateful of this whole process because I feel like it definitely pushed you and I to think about dating differently and to like articulate the themes and all the stuff we've learned from this podcast because it was like kind of all floating in our heads, but there's something about putting it on paper that really starts to make it more concrete.
And we wouldn't put something out there that we didn't truly believe in or test it ourselves. And 2 years of writing a book, a lot can fucking happen in 2 years. Which,
for
me. Yes, I went through a breakup where I thought I was with the one. So in writing the book, I had to rethink if the goal is not what I thought it was, what is the goal of dating then? Why do I date? And that was such a profound question and experience to go through while writing this book. And I think we found the answer. So that's why we fully, like, really tested the concepts in this book.
Yeah. Well, I think it was really, I'm not going to say it's good that you went through that because I never want to say that, but like, I remember.
But in hindsight,
I think it did like let you look at the book differently after.
Yes.
And you were like, let me look at it from the perspective of someone that is fresh out, you know, and in the midst of heartbreak.
Yes.
Kind of world shattered. And
single as fuck.
Yeah. It changed the perspective. So we had, it didn't change the book per se, but it allowed us to drill into certain areas.
Yes.
More.
Yes, absolutely. When you don't feel the safety of a relationship anymore, what can you bring forth? How do we present these concepts? So yeah. a lot happened.
A lot happened in those 2 years, but we are so proud. I personally think this is our best work to date. Like I know we've done a lot of great work. I don't want to minimize our other stuff, but this is like it's definitely where it all came together.
Well, this is our greatest hits album. We've done a lot of great work and we compiled it all into a book.
Yeah. So we can at least, you know, obviously it's going to be 6 months till it comes out. You'll probably hear more about the book. And again, pre-orders help so much. So thank you. Thank you in advance if you've done it already. And yeah, we're just excited to release this into the world. That's how I feel right now. I'm like, I can breathe a little. That it's just been released.
I know, it's out in the universe. And this book is very much related to our episode, which we're re-airing. And I feel like this guest was way ahead of her time. But basically, it's like, how do you not play into gender roles and rules of modern dating and just take control of your love life? What would you actually do today if you felt in control of your love life?
Yeah, she just had this motto, hence the title, nothing to lose. And I think that really is, at the end of the day, we get so caught up in the shoulds and like what we should be doing and how we should act and all that. Sometimes it's just like there is nothing to lose, to just put it out there.
No, I met this young woman at a book event a few months ago, and she said, I find that whenever I make the first move, or I hit on a guy, they lose attraction towards me or they don't treat me as well. And I took a pause because the old UA would have been like, you devalued yourself. You shouldn't have made it so easy. But the new UA said to her, well, those are the wrong people. Those are the wrong guys. If a guy devalues your worth because you made the first move, that guy has a weak ass ego and you do not want to be with that person.
Also, I know our guest Amanda personally. She's like a friend of a friend, and she is like the most stunning girl. Absolutely stunning. Like one person, like at first glance, that you'd be like, they have no problem with guys approaching them. Like I'm sure they get hit on all the time. First of all, it shows like it's not always how it appears. But second, like she was just like, I have nothing to lose. Like I'm going to take control. I'm not going to wait for some guy to talk to me. And the way she just said it was like so low stakes too. Like I'm just going to say hello. Like who cares? And I remember like our mutual friend was like, you need to get Amanda on because she just dates differently. Because they were coworkers and they were really close. And she actually went to her wedding. So she is now married. So maybe it was someone that she went up to. Who knows? Yeah. But I just loved her approach. And I think it still stands true now, even though this is a re-air. It's so in line with our Meeting People IRL summer that we're touting. And you can still get access to the masterclass that's still available. But this is the time, you know, to meet people. And really, there is nothing to lose.
On the flip side of it is ask yourself this, what is it that I have to lose? Right? There's nothing to lose as a statement, but then you can flip that because we have a mutual friend who reached out to me the other day, said, I saw this guy on an app. I think he's attractive. I've been trying to figure out how to say hi to him or like reach out to him and shoot my shot. And I was like,
just do it.
Just say hi. Like, well, it's not even like there's nothing to lose. Like, what do you have to lose? Right. The only thing you have to lose right now is time. You're losing time.
That's a good point.
Just say hi.
I mean, worst case, they don't respond.
Yeah.
That's the worst case. And at that point, you move on. You're not thinking about it. So you actually gain something. You gain your time back.
You gain time and some effort. And I gain time too, so I don't have to read your text.
We all gain time. Or they respond favorably and you gain a ton.
Right. What is it? Are you going to say hi and then are they going to say, "Oh, I hate that opening line and you're ugly"? No. Like, go away?
Look, this is why I hate opening lines. It's going back to that. If someone you find attractive says hello to you, it doesn't matter what their opening line is. You're going to respond. You're either not responding because you missed the message or because you don't find them attractive. Let's just call it what it is.
Right.
Someone that you don't find attractive, if they say the best opening line to you, is it really going to change it? No.
No.
Like someone can just say hello. I really it kills me because it's like, who cares?
I know, because we have been so, we're bullies about opening lines. We've been making fun of people who say, hey, hello. But that is how you would greet a stranger on the street. Like, hi. You're not going to be like, oh,
what superpower do you have in the apocalypse?
I notice you don't have a ring on your finger, do you?
I noticed that you went to Italy last fall.
They're like, wait, how'd you know?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I was on dating apps, I would always just be like, hey, how was your weekend? Which is so lame, but people responded because they just wanted to talk.
And they don't have to think about it. They can just be like, oh, weekend was good. What's up with you?
That's the problem with the lines like the apocalypse. I got that one. I'm like, I don't know what to say. It's like, I find you attractive, but I don't even know how to respond to this. Because then you're like, what if my response isn't witty enough?
I know. Now I have to be witty. Now I have to go to ChatGPT.
You lost me. Yeah. All you're getting now is ChatGPT responses anyways. So it's not even authentic if you ask those questions.
I realize I have digital procrastination issues. If I get too many questions bombarded at me over text or DM, I go numb. Whoa, what do I do with this?
So every message I send you. This is you a subtle way of being like, please stop.
No, at least with you, I go, okay, I'm going to focus in on one question and I will answer that one question. I can at least do that. I could do that.
And you're like, she'll answer her other ones by the time I respond.
Exactly. Because I know you by now. But if I didn't know you very well, I procrastinate. I'm like, oh, shit, that's a lot of questions. And then I have to think about these questions. So then I go take a walk or I eat some snacks.
I mean, the nothing to lose mentality. I think for me, last time I was dating, that was my mentality where it was not in the past at all. I was caught up on how I'd look. Would I come off needy or desperate or, all the things. And this time I was just like, I have zero fucks. I'm just going to put it out there for people. And if they don't respond to it, I don't care. That was my mentality. And with my partner, I sent him the first message. I sent him a message on Hinge saying it's just kind of funny now because he is a very private person and he has zero social media and all that, which I love about him. But he had a photo with his friends and they had smiling emojis over their faces because he didn't want to show them on the app, which is so endearing. And I was just like, so cute. Your friends look really happy to be with you. And then I just moved on. That's all I said.
That's all. And it wasn't a crazy question.
No.
It's an observation.
Yeah.
Showed interest.
And it was witty.
It was witty. It's cute. Yeah, don't overthink it.
The overthinking it and nothing to lose. So anyways, we are happy to bring this one back. I think it's perfect for the summer. Just get out there, meet people, nothing to lose. Okay. We definitely talked about announcements, so I'm not going to go super in depth. At Dateable Podcast, you can see our announcement, pre-orders available, howtobedateable.com, or you go to our website. It's all over there too. We'll leave it at that.
I'll post our poop photos.
Oh my God, please do.
I'll post our poop photos in our story. So if you're listening to this episode right now, you should just go on Instagram. Just look at our stories.
And if you were there, if you've been with us from the beginning, if you were there, please let us know because I think getting those those messages. Like we got one from, shout out to Jim. I feel like his message that he gave, he was like, I've been with you. I've listened to every single episode. I bought 3 copies and you guys have just progressed so much as interviewers that honestly, it made my heart melt. So thank you, Jim. You made our day.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Well, before we get into it with Amanda, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors.
Yay, it's summer, my favorite season. And you know what can make summer even better? Via hemp products. Need to chill out after a long day in the sun? There's a Via gummy for that. Dealing with anxiety or stress with summer travels? There's a gummy for that. Want to set the mood in the bedroom? There's a gummy for that. And that is actually my favorite gummy from Via. I'm talking about their best-selling High Love Gummy, a unique blend of pleasure-enhancing cannabinoids, libido-strengthening herbs, and a medium dose of THC all into one mind-blowing gummy that will awaken your senses, increase blood flow, and intensify any sexual experience. I know it's meant for sexy time, but here's a little trick for you. I actually just love taking it for some of my longer walks. It makes all my surroundings look, smell, and feel so nice. And if THC is not your thing, Via also offers a wide array of THC-free gummies. Whatever you want to be in the mood for, Via has something for you. If you're over 21 years of age, you can get 15% off plus a free pack of award-winning gummies with our exclusive code DATEABLE at viahemp.com. That's spelled VIIAHEMP.com. And don't forget to use the code DATEABLE to get 15% off and a free pack of their award-winning gummies. Do scents evoke memories and transport you back to being on that amazing vacation again? To me, when I use Osea's Undaria algae body oil, I'm instantly on the beach in Greece again. With its all-natural, uplifting notes of mango, mandarin, grapefruit, lime, and cypress, it's hard not to be in a really good mood. But this body oil is so much more. It is clinically proven to instantly improve skin elasticity and deeply moisturize, leaving skin silky and soft. And you know how people covet that post-vacation glow? This is exactly what I achieved after using this body oil. It goes on so smooth and doesn't leave my skin oily or greasy. No wonder it's Osea's #1 best-selling product. Get healthy, glowing skin for summer with clean, vegan skin and body care from Osea. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLE at OseaMalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. Head to OSEAMalibu.com and use the code DATEABLE for 10% off.
Okay, let's hear it about why there's nothing to lose about making the first move.
We've visited this topic before, but we're going to bring it back because it's such a popular topic people want to talk about. It's all about making the first move as a woman. And so our guest today, her name is Amanda. She has some words of advice for all of us who are thinking about making the first move and maybe are not accustomed to doing that. So just a little background about who she is. She's been in San Francisco for 6 months, originally from San Jose. She's 26 years old and currently in a monogamous relationship. Enlighten us, Amanda. Enlighten us. How do you do it? How do you make the first move?
So a little bit of background. I was in a 4-year relationship that ended about a year ago. So I have about a year of being single in a big city and kind of just introduction to modern dating as we know it. So before I was in this long-term relationship, there were no dating apps. We just met like in college or whatever. And so now I'm getting more familiar with the scene and it's just been really slow. Like if you are a single girl and you're going out to the bars, and especially in San Francisco more than other places, if you are expecting like someone to approach you, like it's not gonna be easy.
It doesn't happen.
It does not happen. Because I don't know if it's the men here or if it's just the new age where like people have 25 other people in their pocket at any given time. Like why would they take that risk and put themselves out there and like talk to someone at a bar that might be single, might not be interested in men.
But also in the current environment of Me Too and like, you know, when are they overstepping their boundaries. Yeah, it's a very confusing time.
There's a lot of things working against people being as proactive
and aggressive.
Very true. They've probably been shut down a million times. So yeah, I think I was expecting a lot of that being single, but of course that's not going to change much when you're in a relationship because people at the bar don't know you're single anyways.
Exactly.
And so I don't know what I was expecting, but I kind of just got sick of just like waiting around, like hoping that cute guy across the bar would talk to me. And so it started very like, I was very hesitant at first, and it took a lot of like wing womaning, like my friends coming with me to talk to them guys, or the friends actually doing all the talking for me. But I think I got into like this habit and groove, something that ended up working.
So what, do you have like a formula that you follow? Do you have a line that you use each time? Do you have like specific body language? Give us all the dirt.
Yeah. I think I think we want to start with like the entry level, step by step to kind of build into the confidence, because it takes a lot of guts just to walk up to someone and like either compliment them or like start a conversation, because it's very obvious like what you're doing, and especially if you're a woman approaching a man because they don't expect it. Yeah. And so kind of the first step is watching for like eye contact. It's very hard to approach a group or just some guys at a bar who aren't interested in talking to you, because you'll, of course, like they're here to talk to their friends, or they're here to have a drink after a long day. It's not recommended to just approach anyone. They should show like some form of interest. And so I usually look for like that first eye contact.
Okay.
Your eyes have met.
Okay.
That makes sense, because people are going for various reasons.
Yeah.
They could be in relationships. They could just be catching up.
But I would argue no guy is going to be upset about a girl approaching them at a bar, even if they didn't go to meet someone. Right. They're still going to welcome that with open arms.
Well, I don't know. They're not that approachable, because like if they're caught off guard or they're in like a serious conversation, they might be more hesitant. Anyway, but if they make eye contact with you, it's probably fine.
Okay.
They weren't so engaged in their current conversation.
Right.
They could look away.
It's all
exactly. So that is what you look for. And then what happens next is, depending on how like gutsy you're feeling, you could just go over there and just like make conversation, or you could invite your girlfriend or your guy friend to just walk over there and like, casually hang around, and then like mention something like general, like, oh, what drink are you having? Or like, do you go to this bar often? Something like that. And then it's kind of like a friendly, casual group setting.
So what were some of the other like conversation openers that you would use?
Oh my gosh, it's super, super funny, because like in the beginning, this is all and kind of new. It was new to my friends too. It's not a common thing or it's not done like successfully. So I remember one of the first times I did it, I made eye contact with this guy at a bar, maybe like 5 times. I was like, okay, it's very clear that like he's interested, I'm interested, like what happens next? And like usually I would just wait and hope that he would approach me and like go home kind of disappointed, like, oh man, like what could have been?
Right.
It never was.
Because he never approached him.
Most nights.
Yeah. And so I was kind of sick of those nights. Like it had been maybe like 6 months of being single, and I was like, I was complaining to my friend. I was like, man, this guy and I have been locking eyes for like the last 20 minutes. I don't know, I'm too sober to approach him. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't know what to say. And she's like, here, like, let's just go over there together. And this is my roommate. She's like super sweet. So we walk over there. Of course, he noticed it. We've been looking at each other for like 20 minutes. And my roommate, never having done this before, at least not like recently, maybe not since like college, she looks at him and she goes, hey. And he's like, hey. And she's like, what are your hobbies?
Oh my
What are your hobbies?
Oh man.
Yeah. And he was so thrown off guard. It was so.
I would be too if someone said that.
What are your
That's
hobbies?
hilarious.
I know. He like totally choked, and then it was like kind of awkward. And then he was like, Amanda, what are your hobbies? And then I started talking about like, okay, I like going rock climbing, I like traveling, I'm new to the city. And then that's when he was like, okay, I have something to work with.
Yeah.
And then he started talking about rock climbing.
I'm just like envisioning this conversation.
Honestly,
how awkward
it was super awkward. But then eventually she left, and like we were talking and like hitting it off.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the night ended like 10 minutes after that, but we exchanged numbers.
Okay.
And actually we like started texting each other, and it was like the interaction was funny because we were texting like, do you want to go on a date like that's longer than 5 minutes, or do you want to meet like
and what are your other hobbies?
exactly. So, and I actually ended up dating that guy for like the next month. So
nice.
it was it was more promising than most people I met on dating apps.
What about online dating and dating apps? Were there any times that you made the first move there?
Yeah, I think on the dating apps, I mean, there's Bumble, which the woman is expected to make the first move. But that's really just like that first interaction. It's not expected of a woman to like ask the person out on a date on the Bumble generally, but I didn't know that. So when I joined Bumble, I thought it was like all women do everything, like initiate, ask on date, and then like follow up. And so I was approaching it as such. And like, it wasn't only until like maybe 2 months after I like was talking to my friends, I was like, you guys, like I'm having trouble finding like date spots to suggest. And they're like, why are you doing that? I was like, aren't you supposed to be doing that? And they're like, no, like Bumble is the women like opens the conversation. You don't necessarily have to do anything after saying hi. And so I did take that, very like
So
aggressive.
what were the guys' reactions though when you were doing all that? They'd probably be like, thank God.
The word for them.
Yeah. So needless to say, I went on a lot of dates.
Okay. So basically being direct and like just, because I think a lot of women, myself included, I feel like I have the opener on Bumble and then it gets really awkward.
Yeah.
So like what would just take it to the next level and be like, let's meet up?
Yeah. And that's kind of another thing. Like if it's not expected for you to like ask someone on the first date, you're kind of just waiting around in this conversation that could go on for days.
It's in limbo forever.
Right.
And then just dies.
Yeah.
Basically.
So like it's really nice to like take initiative and, make the first move on and kind of take control of your own dating life, really.
That is so fascinating because I had a conversation with a guy friend about Bumble and I said, what are your expectations of the women on Bumble? And he's like, I just expect the woman to do everything. So I expect the woman to open, to ask me out, to plan. And he said it's really disappointing because the only messages I get are like, hey, hello, hi.
Yep.
So I think there's a little bit of confusion with how people use Bumble because I do think a lot of women like myself use it as an opener. And then I wait for the guy to ask me out.
Literally dies.
And it literally dies because the guy is probably also wondering, well, you opened, so should you make that first move? So maybe we should just all clarify right now. If you're a woman on Bumble, just do the asking out. Just do it. Just do it.
You have nothing to lose.
You have nothing to lose.
So did you carry this to other dating apps or was it just Bumble?
Yeah, that's a thing. It was like, it started off in person. I was like, I don't really care what's going to happen. Like the worst thing that happens is they're not interested and you have like 2 minutes of small talk with a stranger. It's like not that bad. And most of the time that has happened to me where I've approached someone and they ended up like being in a relationship or they like were with friends and they wanted to get back to their friends. But like I always made like a few friends. Like we would add each other on Facebook afterwards. And so it was always fruitful, always. Like the worst case is you made a new friend or a connection.
That's not bad.
Right. Best case is you meet your forever person.
Right.
But you're talking about in person.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so anyways, like that mentality of like approaching someone in person really gave me the confidence. Like I have nothing to lose. And I definitely don't have anything to lose online. Like I don't know this person. It's not embarrassing.
Yeah. You don't even know if they're a real person. Like, whatever. I could be talking to a bot, damn bot.
Yeah. Was there any time that it didn't go well?
No, I would have to say the times where it didn't go well, it was just like either awkward, but I'm kind of an outgoing person. So I can pretty much talk to a wall. And so it usually ended up with like, just like, oh, it was really nice to meet you.
Right. Okay. I mean, what is the worst that could happen? That they could say, I'm in a relationship, but
or I'm
nice
not interested in you. But they're not going to say that anyways.
They're not, because women don't say that.
Right. You're either, you say you're in a relationship even if you're not, or you just like, I need to get going or something. It's never like, you're a disgusting human being. Like, no one's going to say that.
Yeah. It's the fear, though. It's the fear, it's the fear of rejection that we have in all of us. And we've talked about this on previous episodes. Men are so much better at handling rejection in this context because they've been doing it all their lives. They've been like
trained
approaching
to do it.
and asking out. But women handle it a lot harder because we aren't used to being rejected because we don't do the asking out. Right. But you're saying, and I feel like this is a numbers game. The more times you approach, the less that fear gets. So then the less fearful you get when approaching people.
Yeah, you get better at it. I also think there's like a scale at how aggressive you want to come on. I feel like a lot of men come on very, very aggressive and like immediately compliment you or say something so awkward. You're like, this is grimy even. Yeah. But like if you approach it casually, they can't reject you because you haven't really done anything.
But I would say, Amanda, if two guys came up to me at a bar and asked me what my hobbies are, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
My hobbies are not talking to you because that is really weird.
Okay, but let's backtrack. If he was like the hottest guy ever, you'd probably have that same reaction to like this guy that was like, this is awkward, but let's see if I can work with it.
But I guess you're right. There was a precedent that was set where you guys were making eye contact. So there was some sort of attraction that was already established.
Exactly.
It wasn't just like cold calling someone.
Right.
And that's the key. Step 1, make eye contact.
Yeah, you gotta
Chances.
warm
I
it up
like
a
that.
little bit.
Chances.
Warm it up a little bit. Yeah.
So besides what are your hobbies, what were some other more successful
Julie really
ways?
wants the lines. Let's
I
make a
definitely am
list.
not going to go up to someone and say, what are your hobbies? Let's just be clear.
We had a previous guest on our show, Taylor, who later revealed that her name's actually Melissa, came on the show and said one of her favorite lines was pretending she could read the menu and saying, I forgot my glasses. Can you read the menu for me?
Or like, I recognize you from somewhere.
Yeah.
Do I know you?
Yeah.
Or
Have
like,
you done any of these sort of lines?
Wow, that's even more bold. Because did she mention if she had done eye contact with them before?
No,
she didn't say anything about eye contact.
She's a cold caller.
Wow.
She just cold approaches
Yeah, I
them.
don't have what it takes for that.
It's fine. It's different approaches.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
So yours is more like eye contact, and if that, you'll just make like something like.
Yeah, mine's very low risk. But another line that was like funny, and I just want to kind of get this out so, people don't feel too like pressured on when you approach someone, you have to say like the perfect thing. Really, you can just say almost anything.
Yeah.
And so there's this one case, I was at Novella.
Mm-hmm. Another good pickup spot.
Yes. And I had been making eye contact with this guy for maybe like the last 2 minutes. And then my friend had called an Uber. And I had amassed the courage to like approach this person. I was going to. And then my friend's like, nope, the Uber's here. Like, we got to go now. And I was like, oh no. And so I like started walking out the door. I was like, all the regrets were hitting me. I was like, oh no, like what could have been? And so I was like, maybe I was one shot too deep in, but I had the confidence to do it. So I turned back around and I was like, hey, wait, like hold the Uber. Like, I'm just going to talk to this guy real quick. And my friend's like, what guy? And so I like ran to like the back of Novella. And it's so awkward at this point because like there's no one there. And it's like him and his friend in the back. And so I'm like walking pretty fast. And I'm like, I just go over there. But right before I go over there, I have like this like freeze. I'm like, wait, what am I going to say? I was like, well, I already walked this far. Needs to say he was really cute. Like,
oh yeah,
very
he's
cute.
got to be worth
You're
it.
coming back from the Uber.
Yeah.
I'm risking a bad Uber review. And so I go over there, and him and his friend they're smiling, of course, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Amanda." And then they're like, "Hi, I'm Alex," and "Hi, I'm Joe." And then and then I was like, well, you guys look really cool, and I thought we were making, I don't know, I don't really remember what I said, but I was just like, I thought, like, I should say hi. I think that's exactly what I said.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like,
that is bold.
Yeah, I was like, hi, I'm Angela. I thought I should say hi. And they're like, yeah, I'm like, glad you said hi. And then Alex was like, mind if I get your number? I was like, sure, yeah. My friends and I are about to Uber to Chambers right now. And so, like, maybe you guys should join us. And they're like, okay, maybe. And then got his number and then went to Chambers. 15 minutes later, they show up and they like get to the bar and they're buying all my friends like shots and I'm having this grand old time. And I ended up talking to that guy for actually like 3 months.
Wow.
See,
I
what
love
could
it.
have been, right?
It
Could have,
was.
would have, should have.
I like it.
You took
It's
a
like
chance.
it's bold, but it's also like low pressure too.
Yeah.
Super, super low risk.
But okay, so I do want to say this, though. You're a very pretty girl, but not everybody's going to elicit the same kind of response. So what would you say for people who are like trying to muster up the courage, who may not be as like attractive or have the energy that you give off, which is like you're an extrovert and you're fun and you're like social and out there. Mm-hmm. And don't say drinking either, because, I mean, we all know that liquid courage can get us somewhere. But what are some other ways that people can muster up that courage to talk to people?
Yeah, and assuming, like, no eye contact with this person.
Yeah, well, can we talk about eye contact for a sec? Because you keep talking about eye contact.
Yeah. It's a thing.
Very few times have I been to a bar and noticed anybody making eye contact because I'm not even making eye contact. I think it's something we need to be more aware of. Right?
I have had friends, too, swear by it also, and I've always had trouble with it.
Me too. It feels awkward to me.
Yes.
Like, what's awkward when they're looking at you or you looking at them?
Oh, when you look at them and they see you and you're like, oh, fuck.
I think that's like, because then it's not just looking at them. You've got to hold it for a little.
Yeah, you got to hold it for a little bit.
Right? And then I'm always like, am I staring them down or am I not looking enough?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just very casual, like lock eyes. It's obviously awkward. They usually like hold it longer, and then you just like laugh it off and like look down, but you're like smiling, and that's like usually enough.
I mean, it is the universal signal. It has been for years.
It is, but it's so hard to master because you have to hold it, they say, for 5 seconds or longer. They say 5 seconds.
Way.
5 seconds is a long ass time.
Yeah.
So maybe for people who are not as extroverted, maybe they can just practice making eye contact.
That's true.
Maybe that's step number 1.
Right. But also, I would dare say that even if you're not attractive or even if you're awkward, like approaching someone, the worst thing that could happen to you is like that conversation is 5 lines. It's not that bad. Like,
right.
Because if you don't come off as like immediately like, will you date me?
Yeah.
You have nothing to lose. Yeah.
Well, what Taylor said on her episode, which I thought was brilliant, was she would approach the guys herself, but she knew she had a support network behind her. So her friends would be at the table. Her train of thought was, if I get rejected, I have a group of awesome friends to go back to who think I'm awesome as well. So maybe like having that support network with you.
Yeah.
Having a friend or a group of friends.
Right. Especially that friend goes with you.
Yeah. I mean, in your case, just make sure they don't ask a dumb question. or do. How did you and your current boyfriend meet? You guys met on Hinge, and then who messaged first?
Yeah, I think he liked me first, but I opened the conversation.
What did you open with?
Comment about his picture or something.
Okay. Who asked who out?
I was in Jamaica when we matched, and I was like, well, when I get back to the city, I kind of got to catch up on like my dating. I haven't like been on a date in like 2 weeks. I have time. And so I just like looked down my apps and I suggested, hey, like, what are you doing Sunday at 10 p.m.? It was like literally my flight lands.
Oh my God.
I was just like, let's get back to it. I feel like I've been very relaxed on vacation. Just want to like get back into the day.
Wow.
You're so efficient.
So you did basically make the first move.
I did. And I had like half of my head was like braided from Jamaica. I just like did not care at all.
I guess that's kind of a great takeaway or lesson is you just have 0 fucks given. Like, who cares?
Exactly. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah, and it's your life, and you kind of said, I want to get back into dating the minute I land.
Yep.
So this guy is going to be that person.
Yeah, maybe it was a little bit of like, I was on this vacation, like it was an all-inclusive resort, but I was with my friends, but everyone else was couples. So, maybe that like...
How long have you guys been together?
We've been together for like 3 months.
And has he ever brought that up? Like the fact that you were the one that initiated?
No.
Oh.
So I think it's interesting because you're in your like mid-20s, and we do see a generation difference of approaching. Like older men and older women in their like 30s to 40s have more traditional viewpoints a lot of times.
For sure.
Don't want to speak for everyone, but just overall. And I think people in their 20s, the millennial generation's a little more like, I don't give a fuck. I'll make the approach.
And no rules.
Yeah. Like, do gender roles cross your mind of like, I'm going to wait for the man? I'm assuming not.
No. The only place where it gets kind of awkward is like just the first date paying.
Yeah. So how do you deal with that?
I mean, I always offer to pay on the first date, and I always mean it. And I don't get like mad if I end up paying half because, hey, I offered, and I actually think it's fair. But it's usually like a bad sign if they let you pay on the first date.
Right. I think a lot of women feel that way.
Yeah, but I think it can get mucky if you're the one asking. I do see that perspective. I guess also because I personally have been on a date where the guy asked and he picked this super nice restaurant, and then he actually like had me pay half the bill, and I was like pissed because I'm like, you don't know my financial situation. You don't know anything about me. If you want me to pay half, go to coffee or drinks. What are your like first date suggestions if you're the one making that move?
I think I wouldn't go to an expensive place on the first date. Yeah,
okay.
It's usually like coffee, drinks, or like an easy dinner. But yeah, I guess why do other people think it's a bad sign? I think it's a bad sign because in the few times it's happened to me, like maybe like handful of times, like the person wasn't interested.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Exactly. So I take it as a sign that they're not interested.
Interesting.
I don't really care about the money loss like I offered.
Interesting. Because I think it also works the other way. Because I know for me, and we've talked about this, I know you're the same way. Sometimes you'll pay for the whole thing if you're not interested.
Yeah, I'll pay for the whole thing.
Or I'll like pay for half if I'm like, I feel bad like taking this from someone.
Yeah.
Like if I know I have no intention. I guess there's not really a rhyme or reason everyone
I would love to
interprets it
hear.
differently.
We need to do an episode about this, and we keep talking about it. I would love to hear from some men about this, because I also have some guy friends who would say, if she offers to pay, I'm going to let her because she might be angry if I don't let
Honestly,
her.
I just think it's such a personal thing at this point. I just don't, like, there's not really a right answer. And it could be that they aren't interested. It could be that they want to empower you as a feminist.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's so many things. But I don't know if we can make any assumption.
On the first date, though?
Yeah.
People do, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Weird.
I've had a lot of guy friends who say, if she offers to pay, I'm taking that as a sign that she wants to know that we're equals.
Yeah.
And I will give her that.
I think the takeaway from this is, like, there's no signs on any of it.
I know. You can't make any assumptions. So if you are willing to pay, then just offer. And you just have to expect that you might have to.
Before we get into this episode, a quick word from our sponsors that make it possible.
You could be the key to helping change lives. Join a clinical trial with Nucleus Network in Minneapolis and be a part of groundbreaking research. Nucleus Network has been conducting clinical research studies for over 15 years. Right now, Nucleus Network is looking for people with moderate to severe kidney impairment to participate in their upcoming clinical studies. If eligible, your participation could help advance research of investigational medications that are being developed to treat a variety of medical conditions. Nucleus Network is offering compensation ranging from $2,000 to $7,000 for study participation time. If you or someone you know has kidney disease, check your eligibility for Nucleus Network's upcoming studies now at nucleusnetwork.com. Your participation matters. Learn more about Nucleus at nucleusnetwork.com. Again, nucleusnetwork.com. You could be the key to helping change lives. Join a clinical trial with Nucleus Network in Minneapolis and be a part of groundbreaking research. Nucleus Network has been conducting clinical research studies for over 15 years. Right now, Nucleus Network is looking for people with moderate to severe kidney impairment to participate in their upcoming clinical studies. If eligible, your participation could help advance research of investigational medications that are being developed to treat a variety of medical conditions. Nucleus Network is offering compensation ranging from $2,000 to $7,000 for study participation time. If you or someone you know has kidney disease, check your eligibility for Nucleus Network's upcoming studies now at nucleusnetwork.com. Your participation matters. Learn more about Nucleus at nucleusnetwork.com. Again, nucleusnetwork.com.
We are so excited to share with you our new podcast, Exit Interview. Dates don't usually end with a satisfaction survey, and yet we rate everything in our lives, from Uber drivers to local coffee shops. So why don't we do the same thing when dating?
We're here to conduct the ultimate romance review, featuring daters hungry for love who have agreed to call up old flames to gather honest feedback.
Welcome to Exit Interview.
He upgraded himself to business class while I was in economy.
Wait, wow. What?
There's feedback that will make you cringe.
She could be a little bit hard-headed, like not reading the writing on the wall.
And feedback that will make you swoon.
When she said that she had feelings for you.
I had no idea.
Really? And maybe you'll learn a thing or two yourself about how you can be a better dater, lover, or partner.
Obviously, like, knew I was gonna learn something. I didn't expect this.
Welcome to Exit Interview.
Listen to Exit Interview on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So back to the gender roles. I know you obviously have no qualms on that. Like, clearly you're making first moves. What about your friends and like other people that are your age range?
Yeah, I would say the majority of my female friends will not ask them out on that first date. Not that they are doing it like consciously.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just they're not used to it. It's really a muscle that you have to exercise.
Yeah.
So you're kind of different in the way you approach dating than your friends.
Yeah.
When you say that?
I think so.
Like, do they talk to you about this? How different you are when approaching men? Or do they want to be more like that? Or...
That's a fair question. I think we kind of avoid talking about it because we like maybe fundamentally disagree. Like, it's a sensitive topic amongst women.
Why is that?
They don't want to be set up for like that rejection. They don't want to put in that effort. You are putting yourself on the line.
Yeah. So that's interesting because I was going to say, like, before we were talking about like, has just generations changed with like women's equality and different gender roles, but it sounds like it's not necessarily that. It's more about the rejection still, that women just are hardwired differently, that we fear that more, or I guess from years past we weren't expected.
Yeah.
And that still hasn't gone away.
Well, I feel like Amanda's generation, they're getting like the consequences of our generation, which is we send these very conflicting signals out there. On one hand, we say, I want the guy to approach me at a bar. And then on the other hand, we're like, I want to take control of my situation. I'm an independent woman. And when Julie and I talked to Brian Howie on a previous episode, he was like, stop saying you're an independent woman, because that just signals that you don't need men. It was a very interesting discussion.
That's not necessarily how women would see it.
Right.
Right.
But then men are just confused, and it's,
What I do appreciate about what Amanda's saying, it's sort of representative of people in their 20s, which is like, I don't know what the rules are. I kind of just want to do things my way.
Yeah.
So if this is how I want my dating life to look, then I will do that. You know, I will go approach this person, or I have no qualms about asking someone out the minute I land from my vacation. For our generation, I feel like there's still a little bit of a filter before we do anything. We're always thinking consequences. And what are the consequences?
Like, you brought the rules up, because I feel like our generation, there were, even a generation before, there was like the book, the rules, like don't text first, like all these like really specific.
Wait 3 days.
Very, and it used to be even like worse. And I think like our like people in their like 30s and 40s still have some of that, but have also adapted to the new way. Where I don't like. Have you even heard of the rules and referenced that?
No.
It's like, like I think that stuff has gone away. And I think some of it's been like the internet podcasts, like it's been more real stories opposed to like, here's this hypothetical rule book that you should apply to every dating situation ever. No situational information
at all. I remember in college, my friend Christine and I had a list of rules with our crushes. So she and I sat down, we printed out this list of rules, and it was like, do not make eye contact for more than 3 seconds. Do not answer his phone calls. There was no texting back then. So do not answer his phone calls the first ring. Like it was 20 rules. And we thought that's how you get men. Was by abiding by these rules.
But I actually think some men think that way too. Because I actually remember having this conversation with my friend's boyfriend, who was in his like late 30s, early 40s. And then another friend that was like 25 or 26, 2 guys. And the older guy made a comment like one of the reasons like my friend got him, these were like the exact words, was because she played the game right and like didn't text all the time and like all the stuff. And like the guy in his 20s was just like, what are you talking about? Like it didn't even like register. But the guy like in his late 30s and 40s, again, this is not everyone, this is one person. But he made a comment like, oh yeah, like if it was too easy, I wouldn't have been as interested. But I don't think other men are thinking that way anymore.
So what would you guys say to a guy who says, hey, I really enjoy the chase, and if the woman makes it too easy, I lose interest? What would you say to someone like that? It's time to take a quick break so we can tell you about the latest service we have been building over here at Dateable. We've created a platform to connect you with vetted experts from our network to help with everything from coaching with dating, therapy, dating profile reviews, and even ways to get real feedback about your dating style. The sessions typically run from 30 minutes to an hour and can all be done via Skype or Google Hangouts, so you can be anywhere. Listeners have been sharing how worthwhile their sessions have been, with comments about how easy the coaches are to talk to, how they have provided a new perspective, and how they have created actionable ways to inspire change. To meet the coaches and book your session today, visit dateablepodcast.com/coaching. Now back to the show. So what would you guys say to a guy who says, hey, I really enjoy the chase, and if the woman makes it too easy, I lose interest? What would you say to someone like that?
Well, it's like, do you even want to date someone like that? Right? Because that's who he is. Like, he should probably be in a relationship with someone who like likes to be chased.
I think I would say 2 things similar to what Amanda said is like, one, do you want to be spending all your time chasing some guy? Like if you're in that relationship, let's say you lock him down do you want that relationship? And the second piece is, no, I don't either. Second is, does he really want a relationship or does he want to be playing a game?
Okay. So that says a lot about where they are in their life.
I think so. I personally think when people are really game focused, it means that they're not ready for something real.
Okay. Amanda, this is a question for you. When you were out there dating and if you did approach a guy that if you were really attracted to him, and he ends up not being as interested in you, did it ever cross your mind to win him over? How do I get him interested in me? How do I get the ball back in my court?
Interesting. No, because I mean, if you're really approaching someone and they're not interested, the chances that they're going to change their mind based on what they know about you, basically just physical appearance, is so slim.
So that's a mindset that we should all change because you live in a world where it's you are in the driver's seat. But I feel like a lot of us live in a world where the other person drives the situation. For example, if that were to happen to me, for example, I would think, what are some ways I can win him over? Like, do I go back to my friends and like pretend I'm having a ball and then he'll see what he's missing, right? I start thinking about stuff like that. Or even in any sort of courtship, I think about like, how do I get him to like me? Versus you're kind of like, if I like him, I'm going to approach, see where it goes. And if he doesn't reciprocate, on to the next.
So I was definitely more like what you just described in like my early 20s. And then like early 30s, I was just kind of more on your side of like, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
And I know, at least from my personal experience, and I know we've had guests feel the same way, like when I stopped playing those games is when I did attract something real. Opposed to like with my ex-boyfriend, like I never did any of that stuff. I was like, I'm going to call you when I want to call you. I'm going to text you when I want to text you. I'm going to be the one inviting you out because I want to. And like, it didn't matter.
Right.
And I think at least I would argue that for me, I don't want to be in a relationship where I do feel like I need to play a game to win someone.
Right.
Yeah. I think it goes back to expectations. A lot of times we communicate our expectations in a wrong way. You expect the guy to behave in a certain manner, but then you don't communicate it. And when they don't live up to your expectations, you build up this resentment towards them. So if you are actually the one approaching or making plans for the first date, you have to actually want to do it versus being like, oh, I'm just doing this because, you know, it's what makes him happy or whatever.
Right.
And then you end up resenting him for not, you know, being that initiator. When we talk about expectations, you really got to know what you're expecting and you have to communicate that clearly.
That's a good point. It's a good segue. I guess, what are some of our takeaways from this whole conversation?
Gosh, you're in the driver's seat of your own life. If you're not driving this car, it's not going anywhere. No passengers are just going to get in your car and be like, hey, you're the love of my life and let's go. You are the one driving your life. So what's going to make you go down a road that you really want to go to versus like this is not autonomous driving here and it's not going to take you automatically to your right suitor. So I really admire what Amanda's saying, which is, okay, there's a really cute guy at the bar. We've been making eye contact. If I were to leave now without talking to him, I will regret this. I will regret this. But if I were to talk to him right now, the possibilities are endless. Even if he rejects me, the possibilities are still endless.
My takeaway is that this actually isn't a gender thing at all. Like we've been talking about how it's like unique that the woman's making the first move. And in my opinion, it actually isn't about that at all. It's an ego thing. And I think at the end of the day, women, a lot of times, myself included, use it as an excuse of why we're afraid to put ourselves out there and get rejected. Oh, the man should make the first move, or I'm waiting for the guy to do it. I guess my takeaways is that really what you feel, or is it because of your ego? Like, are you using that as a way to hide and not face rejection?
Right. It's your pride. Yeah, it's your pride and your ego.
And I think there's men, too, that don't make the first move, and it's not because they're not masculine or any of that stuff. it's also because of their ego and they're afraid of rejection.
This whole conversation is all about approaching another human being. That's like to the core, right? So we talk to strangers on a daily basis. You talk to your barista, you talk to whoever, like your receptionist or whatever. But for some reason, we're just there's a block when talking to someone that we're attracted to.
Yep.
There is really no difference. If you are talking to someone you're not attracted to, you might be very natural in the way you approach them. But for some reason, when pride and ego and all that gets in the way, then it becomes who makes the first move. Mm-hmm. Well, fuck all that, because it's just about talking to another human being. If you're going out to a bar, like let's say Novello, if you don't leave that bar talking to another human being that you like a stranger or a new person, then you haven't fulfilled your role of going out. Then why did you go out in the first place, right? We go out in public spaces to meet other people, to talk to anybody.
If your intention is just to catch up with the person you came with, that's fine. That's your intention. Mm-hmm. Don't beat yourself up like, oh, I didn't talk to anyone and all this. Like, either go with that intention, or if you're going to socialize and meet new people, go and socialize and meet new people.
Yeah, make it a goal to talk to someone you haven't met before. It doesn't have to be someone you're attracted to. It can be anybody.
Yeah, if that's what you want.
Right, if that's what you want. Right.
Yeah, I think my key takeaway would be like, just do what you want. You have nothing to lose. You have everything to regret if you don't do it. And like, it even kind of applies to the first date. Like for me, I think it's pretty standard on a first date that the conversation is like small talk, surface level, but like I don't give a shit what they did today. I don't care where their favorite vacation was. I want to talk about like deeper stuff. Like what do you think about the dating scene? What are you looking for in another person? Personally, like I like to approach those topics like on the first date. And if I scare away someone, then that person was like playing games. They just wanted to have small talk on a first date. And that's not the type of person I want either.
Right. I think that's the other key takeaway is like you're thinking about it. You're not like, oh, it's all about me. But at the end of the day, it's like this person just might not be a right match for me if they're not willing to receive the energy I'm putting out there.
Right.
And if you look at it that way, it's not necessarily rejection. It's just that person wasn't the right match.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Blame it on the fit. Like, don't blame it on yourself. It really is a fit.
Right. Because you could say a line as bad as what are your hobbies?
Yeah.
And if there's a match, it doesn't matter, right?
It does not matter. Yeah, that's very much true. I mean, we're just looking for compatibility here. It's not rocket science, right? So the only way to find if you're compatible with someone is by talking to them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, do we have time for a quick question
I think
of the day?
We do.
This comes in from Jenny. Every day I go to Starbucks in the morning and see this really cute guy that just looks like a nice guy. I must say I have a bit of a crush. One day I mustered up the courage to ask him what type of muffin looked good, but the conversation kind of fell flat. He does smile at me, though, every time I see him, so I feel like he might be open. Any ideas of how to approach him?
Amanda, I feel like you would have a good strategy here.
Wow, that's tough. The tough part is that it fell flat the first time. I would love to like ask, I guess, what his response was. Like, maybe Jenny said it in an awkward way, and he didn't know how to respond. Also, like, maybe it was a sexual innuendo. Like, people use muffin as like...
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Or maybe it was super early and he was half asleep. You don't know what it was.
Yeah, or it caught him off guard and he's probably like kicking himself right now. Oh, why didn't I continue that conversation?
I would give it another chance. Like if you see him again, you could maybe crack an inside joke about that muffin because I think humor is the easiest way to break the ice. Just be like, is it the same muffin as last time? Or I don't know. I would continue the conversation. Sounds like you are regularly seeing this guy.
Yeah.
And so you can you have many chances.
So I can speak from experience here because I've had this happen to me. Something
you have.
Similar. And I was like, the guy made the comment to me and it was like about something like salad dressing or something really dumb. I took note that he was trying to open the conversation. We had a little bit of back and forth and that just kind of died. And I awkwardly was like, oh, I gotta go. But I'm like, what could I have done or what could Jenny have done to get that name exchange and the number what's the next level?
The next time you see him, take it one step farther and be like, oh, I see you here all the time. Like, what was your name? Just very light. Yeah, and what's your name conversation usually ends up in where do you work? Do you live around here?
Would you ever ask for numbers?
Yeah, that's the thing. If I'm the one making the move, I expect some type of response from them. And so let's say this was me. I think I would try to get their name and then be add them on Facebook or something. And then then from then on, I would like leave it flat. See, I like the idea of like getting connected on some social outlet. Yeah. Because then that gives that person an easy, low cost way of like approaching you if they're interested.
Okay. I learned 2 things in this. One is get the name out there as soon as you can. I have seen this work and is very effective. Like in this situation with Jenny, what kind of muffin looked good? And they talk about the muffins. And it's like, oh, by the way, I'm Jenny.
Yes.
It's like, it's nice to be like, by the way, I want to actually connect with you.
Yep.
That's what that means.
Well, that's why it could have fallen flat because there's only so much you can talk about muffins.
I know. You can't. You really can't.
So it's like in your head, it sounds like a good opener. But I mean, it could even be like now she could be like, hey, I see you every day. Like, do you work around here? What's your name? I'm Jenny or something.
Yeah. And there's something very comfortable about that question because by saying, by her saying, oh, by the way, I'm Jenny, she's taking hold of the situation, right? She's controlling the situation. And 2 is showing him that she respects him. I respect this conversation enough to know what your name is. It's a very comforting question. I think in this situation, there's still like eye contact that could be made even before the conversation. Right. And so if she sees him again, it could be like a knowing nod or something.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, hey.
Oh, hey. Yeah. And then becomes familiar. Establishing familiarity is actually very important.
Yeah, I like the name too because it makes it feel like you weren't just making small talk. Because like if you were just talking about the muffins, like he could be like, oh, she's just curious what muffin to get. Like he might not even be thinking like, oh, this was a girl trying to like hit on me.
Yeah.
Like that might not even be crossing his mind.
Yeah, because that's like very normal interaction. Like an old person next to you might say the same thing about your muffin.
But in not a sexual way.
Yeah. Nobody talk about my muffins, okay? Stop talking about my muffins. Enough with the muffins. But that's a very good question because, again, this is one of our most popular topics is how do you carry on the conversation? Sometimes it's easy to start a conversation, but then where does it go from there? Right. Especially with online dating, too.
Totally.
Sometimes you get like, you have so much momentum in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, it's like 2 days, you have the message, and then it's over. Then you unmatch.
But you're saying if that was you as the woman, just like throw them a
bone.
Throw them a line. Like, who cares? What do you have to lose? You're not going to
What do you have to lose?
I think that is definitely the takeaway of this. What do you have to lose? And I'm going to start making more eye contact.
I know it's hard. See, like even right now, it's a little awkward. Julie and I are making eye contact. It's been like 6 seconds, and I'm like,
we're gonna
sweating bullets here.
We're gonna practice on each other.
I'm sweating bullets because even sometimes when I do go to like Starbucks, I don't even make eye contact with the barista.
I know.
And then I start practicing that, and it's really hard. You know, when they give your credit card back, and you go, "Thank you."
Yeah.
I usually just look down, but now I'm going to start making more eye contact.
I mean, there's eye contact has been around forever, but then there's also like it's always been like
it's a new phenomenon.
That's like the universal signal, right?
That's what our eyes are for. I had no idea.
It does establish a connection more when you notice when someone's looking down and not looking at you.
Right.
It shows confidence too. It really does. It shows so much confidence.
Before we end, one last quick question for you. I don't know, maybe you've always been a naturally confident person. Is that the case, or have you taken like steps to get more confident?
No, I was actually really shy. If you were to ask my high school friends, like how was she in high school, I just like really never talked. I think working like as a teenager like really helped me open up because I worked at like Hollister, and every person that comes in the door you have to like shout hello. And so that helped me build my confidence. But then like in my
so get a part-time job
at Abercrombie or Hollister
10 years ago. Yeah, exactly.
Then you're forced to talk to people.
Hello!
Or you can be that guy on the street that like goes up to everyone like trying to get donations. You know those people.
But to my adult friends, I would say it's like a muscle. Like put yourself out there and then it just becomes easier.
So you're naturally shy. Hollister helped open it up. And then just from there you've become more
blossom from dating. Yeah.
But it is this, we're so complacent in the way we live our lives now. We go to bars with our friends and we stay together with our friends. And it's fine if your intentions are to catch up with your friends, but then you could just go to someone's house. Like, why go to a public place for that? So if you're in a public place. One, I think we could all have better body language, be more open, look around more, notice things more, and make more eye contact. Even if you're in a relationship, it's not going to hurt you to just look more approachable and friendly. It's
or
not
you
that
can
bad.
Network. There's so many things.
The possibilities are endless if you're open to it.
Yeah.
But if you leave with regrets, then you already know what your outcome is, which is regret. And if you wait for things to happen, chances are nothing happens. All right. Ready to wrap this up. I think Julie and I are going to go out and approach some strangers right now. We're amped up to go. I think Amanda's going to help us.
Eye contact.
I've already thought about what my answer would be to what your hobbies are because I have a whole list of them. So I know how to answer that question. I think everybody else should be prepared for that as well. You never know, right? You never know if you're going to be asked that. Our listeners, we want to hear from you. We are always booking guests for our next season. If you're a guy who has something to say about what we just talked about, we'd love to hear from you, especially if you have a very strong opinion.
Yeah, or if you don't like getting approached.
Yeah, if you don't like the girl making the first move, if you don't like the girl paying on a first date, we want to hear from you. Either way, we love having all different kind of perspectives on this show. Okay, stay dateable.
The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Media Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram at Dateable Podcast and visit dateablepodcast.com for access to all the episodes and our premium programs. Also, make sure to subscribe today if you haven't already on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform so you are the first to get all the latest episodes. And most importantly, stay dateable.
Before you leave this episode, just a reminder to head over to dateablepodcast.com/programs if you want to get in on our Meeting People IRL Masterclass and see what else we have in store.
You could be the key to helping change lives. Join a clinical trial with Nucleus Network in Minneapolis and be a part of groundbreaking research. Nucleus Network has been conducting clinical research studies for over 15 years. Right now, Nucleus Network is looking for people with moderate to severe kidney impairment to participate in their upcoming clinical studies. If eligible, your participation could help advance research of investigational medications that are being developed to treat a variety of medical conditions. Nucleus Network is offering compensation ranging from $2,000 to $7,000 for study participation time. If you or someone you know has kidney disease, check your eligibility for Nucleus Network's upcoming studies now at nucleusnetwork.com. Your participation matters. Learn more about Nucleus at nucleusnetwork.com. Again, nucleusnetwork.com. You could be the key to helping change lives. Join a clinical trial with Nucleus Network in Minneapolis and be a part of groundbreaking research. Nucleus Network has been conducting clinical research studies for over 15 years. Right now, Nucleus Network is looking for people with moderate to severe kidney impairment to participate in their upcoming clinical studies. If eligible, your participation could help advance research of investigational medications that are being developed to treat a variety of medical conditions. Nucleus Network is offering compensation ranging from $2,000 to $7,000 for study participation time. If you or someone you know has kidney disease, check your eligibility for Nucleus Network's upcoming studies now at nucleusnetwork.com. Your participation matters. Learn more about Nucleus at nucleusnetwork.com. Again, nucleusnetwork.com.